Hello folks, in today's guide we are covering how to forge maximum stars for all 5 different sabres within the Blades of Fire Hammer minigame. Now, a few side notes just before we get started would be, there are no variations to these minigames, and regardless of weapon size, shape and ingots used, these minigames will all be the same, meaning just copy as I do and you should be just fine. Additionally, there is such a thing as forged memory, so once completing the minigame with max stars, you can just skip it entirely when crafting that weapon again. The only drawback to this is when unlocking a higher maximum star limit for that weapon, you will need to redo the minigame in order to unlock the new max limit. The minigame consists of 3 different mechanics, which are strength, width, and angle. You'll see me adjust the angle as we go, but strength and width may take some trial and error. I've added voice notes to try and help, but ultimately, matching your own screen to mine will likely yield the best results. But other than all of that, let's get started. First, we have the Callus. The Callus is a relatively straightforward forge. First, start from the far right, adjust your hammer to the left, raise your width to the max, and then adjust your strength accordingly. You will want to then quite simply make your way down, possibly making 1 or 2 very small adjustments along the way, until eventually completing the blade. Up next, we have the Scimitar, which is another relatively simple forge. Simply head to the far left, angle yourself far right, adjust your width to the max, and then your strength accordingly. And it should be relatively simple to just move on down the blade, whilst only needing to really adjust your strength until eventually completing the blade. Next, we have the Butcher, and despite its appearance, it's not as challenging as you may think. First, start from the far left, angle all the way right, raise width to the max, and then simply begin adjusting your strength as you go. There will be a little bit of back and forth for the strength here, but it really shouldn't be all that difficult to make your way down and eventually complete the blade. Up next, we have the Khopesh. Quite simply start from the left-hand side, angle your hammer all the way right, and then adjust your width and strength accordingly. You'll want to mostly only adjust your strength as you go, and there's not much need for smaller adjustments along the way. Simply focus mostly on adjusting strength until eventually completing the blade. Finally, we do have the Sadist. Now, this is a little different to all of the other forges thus far. To start, we simply want to raise the width and strength to the max, and then strike the blade evenly from the center. Now, we want to angle all the way right, adjust width to the max, and then adjust strength accordingly. Once about halfway done, you'll want to begin making smaller adjustments to the width also, until eventually completing this side. Next, simply head over to the left side instead and replicate the exact same steps until eventually completing the blade. That is it for this guide, folks. I do have a handful of Blades of Fire guides in the works, so do keep an eye out for those. But in any case, I have a range of guides on the channel too, so do feel free to stop on by and check things out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, folks, and until next time, peace.